Hi guys, it's Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft with another little video for you. Okay, this is a response to several questions I've been asked, and it's about snakes. Yes, I live in the South, and yes, we do have all the poisonous snakes. Snakes are something that a lot of people fear pretty dang badly. And I can understand that. Everyone has a fear of something. Some people it's heights, some people it's snakes, some people it's spiders, whatever. I do not like snakes. I had a fear of snakes when I was young. And I do not run screaming like, oh my God, it's a snake. But when I see one, I go, and then I go, okay, it's a banded water snake, it's okay. Or, oh, that's a timber rattler, okay. But that initial reaction, you know, of walking up on it, of seeing it, etc. That's what spooks you. That's one of the reasons that I wear a large brim hat. Because when you're going through the thick stuff, as I've shown you my particular woods are, wearing this is because of being where snakes be on limbs, you know, and you're moving through the thick brush. You're not trying to disturb them, but you simply just walk up on them, you know. Snakes are animals like anything else, and they have a problem with ticks. They have a problem with parasites, and sometimes they'll just get off the ground and get up in bushes and things like that to get away from the bugs and the things that bother them. There are several species of snake, like we call it the white oak, but there are several species of non-poisonous snake that go up into the trees and they prey on bird eggs, stuff like that. So it is possible to be walking along through thick cover, moving stuff out of the way, and suddenly you're eye to eye with a snake. Thus the hat. By wearing it like this, I've got this big brim out here, and I can turn. I can also do this and put something between me and it fairly quickly just by doing that and then backing away. If it's going to strike, let it strike the hat. I've had that happen several times, and up here in the crest, right there is actually a fang hole where I had one, not a poisonous snake, but I spooked it and it hit my hat. Another thing that I use is a walking stick, a snake stick. Well, I'm going to be in thick cover like this. Now this is prime snake habitat that I'm in right now. And what it is it was formerly a pasture many years ago, and it's growed up. So now it's a lot of pioneer species of sweet gum and sassafras and briar and bramble and, you know, yaupon and all of that. So sometimes you can't see the ground well. That's where the stick comes in. I hold it in front of me and do this. Because the standard operating procedure that I have found with snakes down here in my south is, in the morning they come out and they'll lay out in the sun to warm up. They're kind of like solar powered creatures. They'll warm up. Then they will go and find their resting site, normally up under some bush, beside a log, something shady, because they do not deal with too much heat well either. They need warmth, but at the same time they can overheat. So they prefer to get out of the direct sunlight if at all possible, and kind of get up against something or hide. And that's where we run into trouble, because you and I are walking along and there is this bush, you know, and we step right in front of it, whop, and we don't see the snake. And we may step on the snake. We may step close to a snake who's asleep. I've quite often witnessed a rattler or something else getting up under the bush. It coils up in its striking coil, and it kind of just lays there a minute and settles down, and it goes to sleep. Well, it gets in that coil for defensive. It also gets in that coil so that should a food source run by, like a bunny rabbit or whatever, it's in strike position. It can go whop and hit it and get a quick meal. Well, what if we go whop and step right in front of it and spook it or wake it up, and it sees something brown and it thinks it's a bunny or something and strikes? That happened to be a boot. So by taking this stick and putting it out in front of me and doing this as I go, hitting the bushes, I'm waking them up. And in my experience, I'm sure there's experts out there that will shoot me down, but in my 40-something years of being out here, it has been my experience that for the most part, Rattlesnakes are a relatively docile snake. They're not normally that aggressive. Timber rattlers, etc., they usually will let you just go on by if you'll leave them alone. They'll normally assume a defensive position, and they hope you'll go by. The copperhead is the master of camouflage, and he'll just lay there. You know, he's hoping you don't see him. The moccasin is the one who is normally the aggressive one. He will not give ground. He won't back up no matter what you do. And he is likely to charge and come toward you because he's very territorial. And he just seems to be born ticked off. So, but we also have other snakes down here that are actually a non-venomous species. It's a pine snake. It'll flare its head a little bit like a cobra and rattle its tail in the leaves trying to make you think it's a rattlesnake, and it's aggressive. It'll come after you. And we have also black snakes we call black racers. It's a version of that, or a big black king snake. And snakes are like any other living creature. They have a personality, and they can be a little more aggressive, a little more whatever than the general rule, more pissy, you know. So you just got to keep your eyes open for them. So my advice when it comes to snakes are, A, learn all the poisonous species in your area. Now this is true in my south. I cannot speak to the world, but in my south, all of the poisonous snakes have a cat-like slit eye. All the round doll eye snakes are non-poisonous in my south. Okay? And so if I see one up close and where I can see his eyes, that'll tell me if he's a poisonous snake or not. I try to avoid them. I try to give them free space. I do not go out of my way to kill them. But at the same time, I have no desire to end up in an emergency room getting $70,000 shot of antivenom. So live and let live. You don't envenomate me, and I won't pepper you with a 20 gauge. Just my little food for thought. So to recap, learn your snakes in your area. 2, if you can't see your feet, get a stick and wake them up in front of you. This is also a good device for flipping them out of the way if they're in your way or whatever, without harming them and actually handle them. 3, do not handle snakes unless you've been trained to do it. Down here in the south, we're legion with stories of people who got bit by something, and what they do? Well, they caught it and they were handling it, or they were trying to catch it, or don't tempt fate. Okay? Leave it alone. And above all else, think. Don't stick your hand someplace you can't see. Step on the log, not immediately over the log, and think about these deep brushy areas that perhaps that's where the snake is resting. Okay? Little common sense goes a long way. I've been in these woods 40 years. I have seen a lot of snakes up close. I have had my boot struck several times. I've had my hat struck. I've had a canteen struck, etc. And I've never been envenomated. I've been hit a couple times, but we're lucky enough never to be envenomated by a poisonous snake. And I'm going to do everything I can to avoid it. Hope this gives you some ideas, guys. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft. Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.